What is up, YouTube? This is Josh over here at American AF Dumpster Rentals in Dallas. Alright, so I got this question again, and I've got this question so many times, and I'm looking back through my channel, and I don't see a specific answer to this question on how I do it. So, I'll make a specific video for this, and hopefully this video will carry on and help you guys out, or help new guys starting in the business for months and hopefully years to come. Alright, how do I price my dumpsters? That is a pretty basic question, but there's so much involved, it's not even funny, on how to price your dumpsters. And here's what I'm going to tell you. As always, you have to do your research. My price and what I charge is not more than likely going to work for 95% of you guys, because everybody's overhead is different. Everybody's paying different for their expenses. Fuel here may be cheaper than it is in, say, California, right? Dump fees are going to be cheaper here for the most part than a lot of you guys, or sometimes even more expensive. Some of you guys don't even have a 1-ton minimum. Some of you guys at the landfill, some of you guys literally pay, if you know, less than a ton if you go to landfill. I pay a minimum of 1 ton no matter where I go. Some places I pay a minimum of 1.5 or 2 tons. So you've got to take all that into account to price your dumpsters. Here's another thing I'm going to tell you. The way I price my dumpsters now, mind you, I have changed my pricing probably 4 to 5 times in my almost 2 years that I've been in business. Why, do you ask? I'm going to tell you. Fear not. I will let you know. Why have I priced my dumpsters, changed my pricing over time, over the last 2 years? Well, it's simple. I've had different types of dumpsters. I've had different types of expenses, different types of overhead, and different visions for my business. So, tip number 1 is going to be, first of all, determine what your main expenses are going to be. Okay? Fuel, insurance, rent, if you have any kind of rent, if you're paying at a yard or a shop or anything like that. Dump fees. Labor. Are you paying for labor? Are you paying yourself? Are you saving that into the business or reinvesting that into the business? Ongoing expenses such as maintenance costs like tires, oil changes. Do you have a newer truck versus an older truck? An older truck's gonna, well, there's no guarantee that newer truck's not gonna cost you as much in maintenance over time, but the goal is, or you know, you hope that a newer vehicle would cost less to maintain or less in upkeep than an older vehicle would, right? What else? Help me out in the comments below if I'm missing any kind of expenses. I'm sure I'm missing all kinds of expenses, but main thing again is going to be those basic items for the most part. So, tip number 1, figure out your expenses. Tip number 2, you got to figure out what your time is worth. How much do you want to make per dumpster rental? Are you covering a massive area like kind of like I am right now? I kind of take anything that comes in because I'm hungry for that business. I want that business. I don't care if it takes me a little bit further out of my 20-mile radius or 30-mile radius, because I'm still charging for mileage. But I'm taking anything right now because I'm charging for it. Don't get me wrong. I'm charging appropriately for it. Later on down the road, if I'm sold out so much that you know, I don't have to take those plain old jobs or those, you know, 45-minute jobs away or hour jobs, then I'll bring my radius a little bit tighter or add a second truck that's further out, whatever it may be. But right now, I cover everything. So what is your time worth? On average, let's say it takes you a half hour. Let's say you do a half-hour job. It's a half hour away from your shop or from your yard or wherever you keep your vehicle or your dumpsters. That half hour turns into 2 full hours. Why? You're taking a half hour there to drop the dumpster off. Half hour back, empty. Or hopefully you're picking another dumpster, but that's how you become more efficient. But half hour back, let's say. Then you're going back 6, 5, 3, 2, 7 days later, whatever it may be, and you're going another half hour to pick it up. And then you're taking a half hour back just to bring it back to the shop, not including the time going to the landfill. So maybe 2.5 hours. So one job, let's say 2.5 hours of labor. Break it down for, 2 hours. What's that? 120 miles, give or take, 100 miles at 8 miles to the gallon, whatever. Let's put about $20, $25 in gas. Let's say $25 in gas. And then, let's say $30 actually. Say $30 in gas, your time, your expenses, your all that other stuff. You break down how many dumpsters on average you have per month, or how many dumpsters you want to have on average per month, and then you break down your other costs, your fixed costs like your cell phones, your insurance costs per month, your rent, all that stuff, and you break it down. You divide it by the number of dumpsters you want to do per month, and then you got your number per dumpster, right? Anyways, you break down all your expenses, you divide it by the number of dumpster rentals that you are doing or that you expect to do. And then you add on top of that what you want to pay yourself as far as labor is concerned. Are you okay with a $25 or $30 an hour? Let's say at $30 an hour, at, what did I say earlier? 2.5 hours, $75. Me personally, I don't want to take a dumpster rental unless I'm profiting anywhere from $250, give or take. Let's say $225 to $275, up to $300. I want to profit, okay? That means $100 is going to go towards, give or take, my expenses, all that stuff. So I start my 15 yards at $395 plus. So plus tax, plus 5% fuel. That 5% fuel does not cover the entire fuel bill. More than likely, depends on how much gas is right now and all that stuff, but it sure as heck helps out. So that was tip number 2. Tip number 3 is going to be, how often do you want to turn those cans or those dumpsters? This is going to be different for everybody, right? It's going to be different across the board, because if I have one truck, one trailer, and I only have 3 dumpsters, then I want to turn those dumpsters as much as I possibly can. I want to rent those things out a minimum of 2 times a week each. So that's 6 rentals, right? I can easily do 1 truck, 1 trailer, or 1 roll-off, whatever it may be, and 6 touches on a can a week. 6 can touches per week. Problem is, as you start to scale and you try to stay one man like I'm doing, it gets harder and harder to do those quick turns. Yeah, you're going to have some customers that want you to turn it really quick, their contractors, whatever, they want it the next day, 2 days, whatever. And you take care of those as much as you possibly can. But for the regular residential customers, if you have 10 cans, 12 cans like I have right now, 15, 20 cans, 1 truck, and you're trying to turn those 2 times a week, you're talking about 40 touches, up to 40 touches in a week, in a 5-6 day period, if you're working on Saturdays. If your landfill is open on Saturdays, you got to take that into account. What are your hours of your landfill? Do they close at 3 o'clock in the afternoon? Do they close at 5 o'clock in the afternoon? Do they close at sunset? Whatever. How many hours per day can you go to the landfill? How long on average does it take you at the landfill? I used to go to one where it would take me on average anywhere from 1 to 2 hours at the landfill. It's very hard to do 4 or 5 dumpsters when you're sitting 1 to 2 hours at the landfill each time. So you've got to take that into account. That's why at one point in my business, instead of going to that landfill, I was going further up north, even though it took me a half hour to get there, just to dump faster at a transfer station. I had to pay more, it took longer to get there, but on average I was in and out in 15-20 minutes tops, versus it was a gamble going to the landfill 1 to 2 hour wait. Okay, so you've really got to take all that into account, guys. You've got to take that into account when you're doing your costs and your pricing. So going back to the number of cans, that's very important, because I cannot touch every single one of my cans, 12, even right now, 12 dumpsters twice a week. If I'm trying to turn them 2 times a week like I was back when I only had 3 or 4, that would prove to be extremely difficult, if not impossible, for me. So I then changed my business model. Now that I got up to 10 and 12 dumpsters, I changed my model, or my pricing structure, to include up to 7 days. Why did I do that? Because it's a little bit easier for me to touch my cans once a week than it is 2 times a week. That's it, plain and simple. And it gives me a little bit extra time to take care of my needier customers that need quicker dumps. So I don't have to keep turning 12 dumpsters multiple times a week. Worst case scenario, I'm turning a dumpster once a week. Best case scenario, I'm turning 12 dumpsters 1.5 times a week. And I'm still sold out. So I may have gone a little too much, to be honest with you. I think I would probably prefer, sometimes I tell people it includes 5 days and not 7 if I know they're gonna not need it as long, especially my 15 yards, since I only have 2 15 yards. My 25 yards, I only have 2 of those, and then the rest are all 20 yards. Those I would like to turn a little bit faster because I don't have as many, and people want those more. People really want the 15s. I wish I gotta get more. Gotta get more 15s, gotta get more 25s. But at the end of the day, I do anywhere from 5 to 7 day rentals. If they're done with a dumpster sooner, I do tell them they can call us and we will put it on the schedule to be picked up. If I need it right away because I've got another customer waiting, or I can book it same day, then I'll go pick it up that same day. If not, it'll sit there and wait a little bit longer until I have time to go pick it up. But I found out that obviously this is why the big guys that have, 50, 100, 200, 300 dumpsters, they don't really care that the can is out there sitting at a contractor's for 30 days, 60 days. They're still charging $10 a day in rental. Some of them charge as little as $7. I charge 20. But they don't care because they have so many dumpsters that they're staying busy. They're keeping their trucks moving regardless, touching other cans, right? Hitting up other cans. So the point is, you have to do your research. As I say in almost every other video, you really have to do your research and do your homework and find out what your true expenses are going to be. And then you deduct that from, or you add that to what you want to pay yourself. And then you add in a little bit for profit to the business, 20% margins, 30% margins, 40% margins, however you want your margins to be to keep you a healthy business. And then tip number 4, when you have all that in place, when you have a spreadsheet, when you have a piece of paper, notepad, whatever, and you have all your expenses or what you expect your expenses to be, you have your labor, what you want to pay yourself, and all that stuff, then what you're going to do is you're going to call around and you're going to get everybody's prices in your area. You're going to go to Google, you're going to call at least 5 to 10 different dumpster companies, depends on how big your area is, and you're going to get an average price per dumpster. You're going to get a high price, a low price, and an average. You don't want to be too high. If you're paying yourself $200 an hour, you're being unrealistic on a 2 or 3 hour job. If you're paying yourself $10 an hour or $15 an hour, because that's all you made at your other job before you decided to go on your own, you're paying yourself too little. Find a very good average in-between number that you're happy with, that you say, I can wake up every morning and be excited to go deliver this dumpster because I know it's going to be profitable for me, it's going to be worth my time, and go that route. So for some of you guys who are used to making a lot of money, whether it be in your own other businesses or whatever, and you may realize that there's not enough profit in this business and you want to do something else. That's fine, that's understandable. Everybody's time is worth different to them. You see that your pricing is not working, if you see that you're getting a lot of people that are calling you for pricing and then they're going elsewhere, they're not booking with you, you might want to revisit your pricing structure. You're more than likely too high, and if everybody is booking with you and you're sold out constantly and you don't have enough dumpsters to operate, then you might want to say, okay, you know what, I can afford to charge a little bit more right now, make a little bit more profit margins right now, and still turn away 5%, 10%, even 20 or 30% of the calls because you're still booked solid. So it's a fine line, and it's kind of like a little numbers game, and don't be afraid to play with the numbers. Don't be afraid to raise your rates And then also on the same token, don't be afraid to lower your rates as long as you know that you are covering your expenses and paying yourself a healthy salary, and or have a healthy profit margin. Okay. Some of you may not want to pay yourself, and that's fine. Reinvest it back into the business. I don't pay myself from the dumpster business. I do take some money out and I invest it in other things, but I don't pay myself personally yet. That doesn't mean that a driver's salary is not built into my pricing. That just means that I have more money to reinvest into the business to help the business grow faster. That's all it is. So if you need to change your pricing, change your pricing. Don't be afraid to do that. If you think you got it right, and you want to revisit it 6 months later, you revisit it 6 months later. If fuel prices go sky high like they did in the last 6 months or a year, then you also revisit your pricing and you charge more accordingly. I did. And then you have to decide if the gas prices go back down to where they were a year ago, or where they were 6 months ago, or more reasonable. Are you going to lower your rates back down, or are you going to keep them the same and just have a higher profit margin? That's completely up to you. And you're not a bad person if you decide, you know what, things are going smoothly right now, I'm going to keep the fuel surcharge, or I'm going to keep the fuel prices, or the prices the same way because of the fuel, even though it went down. There's nothing wrong with that. You're not taking advantage of a customer. You're just, that's your pricing and that's it. And if people don't want to pay it, they don't pay it. So you're going to get people that are going to say, you're way too expensive. There's no way that I would pay for that. I can literally take the trash myself to the landfill and pay $50 or $75 or whatever to get it dumped. Why would I pay you $400? And then you're going to get other people that say, man, you're like one of the least expensive I've called. Your price is very good. Let's go ahead and book it. As long as you don't get too many that say one or too many that say the other, and it's kind of average, you should be all right. But that's how you price a dumpster, literally. You don't give too many discounts. I do give a military discount. I do give a police discount. Most people don't ask me for it. And if they ask me, I would give them a teacher discount and 5% here or there. But I don't give much for discounts. I don't give any freebies. Like even I've got 2 dumpsters sitting at one of my properties right now. My flip house in Corsicana. If you want to watch a video, I'll post a video here to the flip house. But I've got 2 dumpsters sitting there. I charge myself. So basically, my dumpster company charged my investment company to put dumpsters there. So the dumpster company is still making money. The investment company is still paying its vendors. So that's my best advice on how to price a dumpster. You still want me to a little bit more deeper dive into your numbers and try to help you out, figure out a pricing structure for you, please, I offer a one-on-one consultation in the links below. Check those out. Let me know if you want to do one of those. But for the most part, like I said, you got to take all that stuff into account to decide how you want to price your dumpsters and how you want to structure your rentals. 1 day, 3 days, 7 days. I was doing 1, 3, and 7 day rentals, and I went all the way to just 7 days only right now, 5 to 7. So again, it just kind of depends on all those factors. You got to take all that into account. So again, you need me to look at your numbers, hit the link below. We'll do a one-on-one consultation. Otherwise, make sure you like, subscribe, smash that notification bell, and we will see you guys on the next one.